All right, time for some friendly fire. Jason Whitlock and the Korean co-sell, Steve Kim. Steve, Deion Sanders has demoted his offensive coordinator, Sean Lewis. This is according to Brett McMurphy. He tweeted this out on X. Colorado quality control analyst Pat Shurmur will take over play calling duties from the OC, Sean Lewis, versus Oregon State, sources told the Action Network. Deion Sanders must elevate Shurmur from analyst to full-time assistant coach to be eligible to coach. Lewis will be signaling in plays from the sidelines. Shurmur's the former NFL offensive coordinator with 4 teams, most recently with the Denver Broncos in 21, and was a former head coach of the Giants and Browns. Steve, am I starting to look like Negrodamus here? That I called the chaos in Colorado. Is this a bad look for Deion?
It's not a good look. I mean, if Coach Prime is the GOAT, then Sean Lewis is the scapegoat. And I don't get this. Aren't they averaging over 30 yards or 30 points per game? This has to be some sort of record for an offensive coordinator that's been relieved of his duties in season to be averaging that many points and to be demoted. I just wonder if the local media in Colorado is going to ask, hey, coach, a lot of other issues. Your defense can't even get 11 guys on the field at key moments. Could not stop a leaky faucet. Didn't you fire or demote the wrong coordinator? I don't get it. And you're right. The discussion that we had a while ago that the specter of having the quarterback be the coach's son, that's a dynamic that changes everything. It does. It does cloud the picture again. My view is I'd like to ask Coach Prime, why? What's the reasoning? Are you not satisfied with the offensive production, or is it the direction of the offense, which, by the way, features your son? So what's the issue?
And Steve, you're more familiar than I am, and it may be hard for you to recollect, but this seems like the kind of move that happens in the NFL, but doesn't really happen in college football. Guys getting demoted mid-season. It just doesn't seem like that happens in college football. You're talking about a 12-game regular season. They got 4 games left in the season. I just don't remember this. In the NFL, I wouldn't bat an eye at this, someone getting demoted, but in college, this seems a little weird.
No, I've actually seen it happen in college more often than the National Football League. Look, if you list all the problems of Colorado's football team, I would say overall offensive production has not really been an issue. Now, I really wonder what are the honest thoughts of Sean Lewis. This is a guy that was a head coach. I think he'll be a head coach again. And it looked like 7-8 weeks ago was the hottest head coaching candidate among all the coordinators in college football. And now Pat Shurmur is taking over the reins of that offense. To me, this is what I would think is going to happen. If you are in the coaching fraternity and all these guys are on text groups, they call one another. They talk about stay away from that guy. That program's not good. That right there is not a great atmosphere. You would have to think, Jason, that the coaching fraternity is probably looking at that, whether they like or even know Sean Lewis. They're thinking, you know what? Things are rocky up in Boulder. That may be a very, very toxic, untenable situation.
Well, I would love to know who didn't know that going in. Who thought that Deion Sanders, the guy, a 56-year-old man that's still running around with gold chains, bringing rappers and all that other stuff into the environment, who thought like, yeah, this is going to be a stable place, and if things don't go well, Deion's going to be the mature guy who rides the wave, or is Deion going to be the guy pointing a finger This is always what's going to go along with Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders has never had to as a player because he was so great. He was so talented. He didn't have to hold himself accountable. But there's been nothing in his adult life that has screamed to me like, yeah, he's going to hold himself accountable. He's not going to make an emotional decision based off of his son, who he keeps calling the best quarterback in college football. That's a father talking. That's not a coach talking. His son is a good college player. It's yet to be seen what type of pro he'll be, but he's not the best quarterback in college. He wasn't the best quarterback in high school. He wasn't that type of recruit. And so this to me seemed inevitable, and anybody acting surprised is a very naive person, and there will be others thrown overboard, no different than he threw the offensive line as a group overboard. This coach, that's easy work. For embarrassing the coach and blaming him for a 4-4 record, that's easy to do.
Yeah, and also with Sean Lewis, look, the reason why guys will go to Colorado, or the reason why he did, the money. I mean, he was one of the highest paid coordinators, and now he's the highest paid signal caller guy in all of college football. I mean, look, you want to talk about succeeding downwards, but it's interesting to me in watching Colorado. One of the main issues they have is that Shador holds the ball too long. And that goes back to that unknown anonymous assistant who says that guy tries to pad his stats. There are so many times when you watch Colorado where that first read isn't open, the second read's open, and you're like, you know what, Shador, chuck the ball, kill it. But he's just pumping and pumping, and I'm like, play's over, guy. And I am not saying the offensive line is great. There's no Nate Solder there, okay? But half the hits that he takes are about him. He holds on to the grenade, and the grenade blows up.
I certainly think that. I think that in terms of play calling, this is why I don't like the move away from Sean Lewis, because to me, the only problem with Colorado's offense is they haven't shown the determination to stick with the running game.
No.
And all that needs to happen for that is for the head coach to say, hey, stick with the running game. Let's don't be so pass heavy. Any offensive coordinator can make that adjustment. And so when you look at the offensive line and how they've been hung out to dry with an all-pass offense, never being allowed to properly develop, never being given an opportunity to really get into a play-action pass game, which helps you in pass protection, all of that is easily fixed just by saying, hey, man, I'd like for 38% of our offensive plays to be running plays. I don't want it to be 20%.
Well, Jason, what I found interesting is that a day or two after the UCLA loss, I read, it was on Twitter or one of the bylines, that Alton McCaskill, now he's a big-bodied running back. He was a transfer portal guy from Houston, kind of an Eddie George type of downhill runner. He's a physical guy, tackle to tackle that you can kind of like move the chains with. And I guess he's now requesting to redshirt. I guarantee you when Alton McCaskill was brought in as the Louie, right, the offseason Louie, and you've already had a knee injury, so you want to run the clock, and I'm sure he has NFL aspirations. He had a very good first year at Houston, where he had over 1,000 yards. Nobody in that situation comes in as offseason Louie, and then 9-10 games into the season says, you know what, I'm going to take a red shirt. I'm going to take, excuse me? So Alton McCaskill himself has given up on the run game as a running back. Just think about that, Jason.
Well, I think there's more chaos to ensue. I don't. It'll be very interesting what they do in terms of run-pass ratio against Oregon State this weekend. Oregon State's a good team. I expect them to beat Colorado, and it could get very chaotic because let's say that they do lose this weekend and the offense doesn't do well. The media is going to be forced to ask Deion real questions. Hasn't happened all year, but now they're going to be forced to ask Deion real questions, and I can't wait to see how Deion answers real questions.
Right, and Jason, Oregon State is a team that I like, and if you ever see them play, they're the antithesis. Not easy for me to say, antithesis of Colorado. They protect DJ Ungulalea, or DJU. They run the ball with Damian Martinez. They establish the run. They grind the clock. And they have Gould and they have Bolden outside, two little speedsters. But they are a run first, okay? Run physically to throw horizontally or vertically down the field. Now, that is an example of protecting not only a quarterback that's been inconsistent but having a pretty good year. They also do a good job of resting their defense. That's the other thing about the run game. It's not glamorous. It can be boring. But just by running the ball a little bit more, if you're light in the box or light in the ass defensively, one of the best ways to protect them is don't let them on the field. I mean, time of possession is something that can be overrated, but it's also very underrated because you allow your defense to rest. And Oregon State is a physical, well-coached unit. And they immediately coming off that bus, they tell Damian Martinez, you're getting 25 rushes a game, and we're going to control this clock in the line of scrimmage.
Thank you, Steve. Great job. Talk to you this weekend. Can't wait to see what happens with Colorado and Oregon State and Deion's new offensive coordinator. If you like this content, please hop in the comments. Tell us what you think about Deion demoting his offensive coordinator. If you really like the content, you should try one of our great sponsors, product I've been using for more than 2 years, Liver Health Formula. Liver Health Formula, if you order it, you can now receive a free bottle of blood sugar formula to reduce sugar cravings when you order today. Liver Health Formula helps you fight a fatty liver. Try it by going to getliverhelp.com/Jason and claim your free bonus gift. That's getliverhelp.com/Jason. We'll see you next time. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all of your fearless friends.